Okay, the next two that I want to make you aware of deal with Bluetooth technology, and the first one is bluejacking. Now, bluejacking is the sending of unauthorized messages or data, typically messages, to a victim's device via Bluetooth technology. Now, as you may or may not know, Bluetooth technology is a relatively short range technology. Okay, so you're going to have to be relatively close to the victim or to your target, whatever you want to call them. Not necessarily a victim per se if you're just kind of messing around with friends, but if they're not expecting it or if it's not authorized, then of course, they could be considered a victim. But what you're basically doing is sending unauthorized messages to that person's phone. And when you incorporate this type of quote-unquote hacking method, what you're doing is creating a contact within your phone, and instead of putting in the first name and last name, okay, in the name field, you would actually put your message, whether it be hello there, how are you, whatever it is you want to say. And then you would go and search for people within range that you can see that have Bluetooth discoverable on their phone or on their device. When that happens, you basically can send that contact to that device, and it shows up on their phone, right, or their device, and instead of having a first name, last name, it'll just have the message. So they won't necessarily know where it came from, and you don't necessarily know who that person is. In other words, if you're sitting on a crowded bus or a crowded coffee shop or what have you, and you search, you may see 5 or 6 or 7 different wireless devices that have Bluetooth enabled and Bluetooth in discoverable mode. Okay, that's the key here. It needs to be discoverable. And people name their devices all kind of crazy things. So you may or may not necessarily know who that person is based upon the name of their device. So I think the general gist behind that is kind of a game that people play sometimes. They try to guess who they're sending messages to and getting messages from. But be that as it may, it is potentially an unauthorized use, especially if someone's not expecting to have that or does not want that. Okay, so I'm not advocating, obviously, that you do this. But bluejacking, again, sending that vCard information. It's going to contain the message in the name field to another Bluetooth-enabled device via the OBEX protocol, okay, the Object Exchange Protocol. That's just the takeaway that I want you to understand. And basically, again, if you're doing it in a malicious fashion, a hacker could come on scene, or someone that is malicious in their intent, and they can then send that information off to another person's phone. So just something to keep in mind. The takeaway being Object Exchange, and it's using Bluetooth protocol. The corollary to that is bluesnarfing. Now, bluesnarfing is the opposite of bluejacking. Bluesnarfing, that's hard to say for some reason. Bluesnarfing is the opposite. All right, so instead of sending data to someone's phone, you're going to actually use or do that in reverse and pull data from that person's phone. So in this case, they would be a victim. All right, you can pull down their contact lists, pictures, messages, and so forth. And of course, there are various tools that can enable that process and make it easier. So just keep in mind, again, uses Bluetooth technology. So if your phone is in Bluetooth discoverable mode, then you are potentially at risk for this type of an attack. Bluetooth is a great line of sight, short distance way of communicating, whether it's connecting to your car or wireless devices, headphones, and so forth. But it also has the potential for misuse and for attack. Okay, it kind of opens up that attack vector. So just keep these things in mind, especially in a corporate environment. You may want to implement policies that may or may not allow these types of devices and this type of activity within your network.